Wow. We did it.
Did it?
We did it.
It's like, oh, it's live. It is live.
Yeah,
I just saw it in the corner.
You're live.
Okay. Hello, I'm live.
Hi, Apple.
I'm alive and live.
It would have been nice if you warned somebody with this.
We never get a warning.
No, not with this is different. It's a little more disrespectful.
I didn't know it was going live. This is the first time I've done this.
All right.
They did say we got it.
You get a pass.
I didn't know what we got.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
What did we get?
We
We win a
got-
prize.
Nope. You get nothing and like it.
What?
All right.
Wanted a corn dog.
You ready?
Barely, but yeah. All right. I think
How about now?
I'm good.
How about now?
See.
Okay.
Wait, I'm not ready. Hold on. Okay, now I'm ready.
I don't know if you're kidding or you're serious.
Just gonna take a little swig.
I'm curious. It's a mix of kidding and serious.
Curious?
Yes.
That's what that means?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Hey now, No Simple Road family.
Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the No Simple Road Weekly Rewind, produced in collaboration with the Edible Beats
The
out
Edible
of
Beats.
Edible Beats.
Denver, Colorado. If you don't know who the Edible Beats are or what they do,
You need to educate yourself.
you should probably go
That's
check
right.
that out. Just Google it. You know how to work the thumbs and the Google machine and the
Is
whole
it
thing.
Edible Beats or theediblebeats.com?
Yes.
All right.
You know what? I'm gonna answer that question because
Here, I got it. If you're gonna do
And
that.
in the meantime, this is how you use your thumbs.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
they are the absolute coolest thing on the planet, and we are super stoked to have them be a part of this weekly rewind.
Ediblebeats.com.
There it is. Not the
No.
ediblebeats.com. Go educate yourself. You will be richly rewarded with information and a warm feeling deep inside your heart that'll make you feel oh so happy and
And you'll get hungry.
Yeah.
hungry.
Very hungry.
And inspired.
Yes, and inspired.
So if you are watching this,
Yes.
hello. We don't think anybody's watching right now, but that's okay.
That's all right.
Maybe in the future somebody will be watching it. So last week, Mel and I were driving in the car, and she was like, we have all the gear to live stream. Like, why don't we live stream the weekly rewind? And I had no good answer for
No,
that.
there wasn't a good answer, and I knew you wouldn't have one, and it wasn't to catch you. It was like, we have the equipment, we have the ability. Why don't we do it to start getting more content on our YouTube? And if people want to see what we're up to while we're doing Monday episodes, here we are.
Here it is. This is us. Ta-da!
That's so exciting.
And so that happened.
That happened. So here we are. This is the first week we're trying it, and who knows if it's going to be a regular thing or if it'll be a thing when we feel like it.
I think that was pretty easy once I got everything figured out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. A few curse words, a little, some,
Shushes
finding
here and
finding
there.
a cable.
Hey.
No, that was an
Come on
exaggeration.
now. Why you make me be
Couple-
the bad guy?
A couple backhands. Oh no.
Oh my gosh. you
You're
guys.
always
No. There's a couple curse words thrown out there, and had to find a cable, and then
That was it.
all was well.
I mean, come on. In the grand scheme of things,
That's
as
pretty
far as like
easy.
technology goes, that was
Yeah.
pretty fucking simple.
Well done.
Yeah.
You passed.
So
I wish I had a little happy face sticker or something to give you right now. Making it
I
work.
want a gold star. I don't want a happy face.
Oh, a
sticker.
gold star. Okay, I'll remember that for next week.
Please and thank
I'll
you
get a sheet of stickers to hand out for achievements
Thank
on
you.
the podcast.
for me not blowing my stack when things don't go right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Outstanding achievements in podcast history.
You know,
good job, babe.
thank you. Last week, also, I had a call with producer Corey, and it was an hour and 44 minutes.
I know where you're going to go with this, but I want to stop you for 1 second
That's me stopping.
because that's what you want to get to eventually. But I wanted to talk about something on the show because I know that other people are going through it and have gone through it and certainly will go through it. And last week, I lost a friend at work. It was really sad, of course, but there was a lot of circumstances that led it to be more than just sad because somebody passed away. It was just, wasn't it wasn't anybody's like wish for this sweetheart of a person, and then a friend of our No Simple Road family, they lost their mom, and that is a painful, harsh, really, I don't even know,
deep thing to
deep
happen.
thing,
Yeah.
exactly. And as I was like kind of reflecting on my relationship with my friend and hearing the news about our friend and his mom, and then it just got me thinking back about the two men that I lost in my life. In 2019 was my father-in-law, and then 2020 was my uncle, and they were both father figures to me. And it just got me thinking of like how messy death can be, in the sense that like everybody just wants to like fall asleep, and then, oh, I just never woke up, and then here's my casket at the funeral, and everybody like lives on. No, there's like so many different things that happen. Death can be super messy, quite literally, like, people's things that have to be recovered and collected and taken care of, and maybe like closing out tabs or stories or shutting, like there's so many things, and a lot of people don't like to talk about death because it's not fun, but then we all hold it inside. That's it, because we're not talking about it because it's hard to talk about. And then those thoughts and those feelings are still inside of us, and there's no outlet if we're not expressing it verbally,
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to express it myself so that I'm not keeping it in, and also share, my story, because even though my friend passed away, the people and how many people came to support him in those end days, and just to literally sit and share space with him. He wasn't able to, he was on a ventilator and stuff. But like the people that just came to share and support, and the nurses even made a comment to one of my friends, like, this is very unusual. There's a lot of people that don't get this much visitors and so much love and so much care. And that was a testimony to his spirit and his sweetness. And I went a day.
Okay, I found this on the web for visitors, and so much love and so much care, and that was a testimony to his spirit and his sweetness, and I went.
Wow.
Check it out.
What?
Thanks, Siri. That's
I don't know
cool.
what that was about, but
Trying to help out.
no, I think I got this. I don't need
yeah, you didn't need.
I didn't need extra
You didn't need
help.
that help from him.
That's
No, I
when they
didn't.
chime in.
But yeah, and so I went there. It was like a day or so before he passed, and just like being there and meeting like his mother and his friends and the people that were there for him. And I just wanted to reiterate this, I guess, if anything, just share this. Whether the person is able to see you or feel you or hear you or not, I think all of these things are for yourself. When you go visit them, you're visiting to put closure on your relationship or how you feel, or whether you want to just go see the one time, or you're going to go every day, or you're going to be called when you're needed and you show up. There's so many ways to do it. Gosh, I think I have like 3 froggies in my throat.
Well,
Your whole little family.
I'll piggyback on that a little bit, and in this culture, it's death is not something that we deal with well. Western culture is death is hidden. It's very private. It's typically very sad.
It's like finances. Like nobody wants to talk about that.
It's like asking what it looked like when you took a shit this morning.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
and then it's a lot of deal with it when that happens.
And
yeah.
So in light of that, because it's so hidden and behind closed doors, I mean, think about the retirement community thing. We lock away those that are
Well, I
you know
mean,
what I mean?
that's
To have them somewhere where it's not out in the open. If you go to other countries like in India,
well, if you
there's
say if you're a single person, you don't have any children, like it's not always a locking away of sorts. It's, sometimes people legitimately don't have others.
well, yeah, but I'm just
Mhm.
saying, like in other countries, like in India, there's literally bodies floating in the river, like, or in the street. You see pyres. It's death is part of
Yeah,
your
it's
everyday
the
existence,
not
culture.
your
in a
life.
secret,
No, it's
building.
yeah, and not that makes it feel any better when you lose somebody that you love, but because you are constantly exposed to the reality that that is part of our human existence and being a human being on planet Earth, that changes the game. And think about like a funeral in New Orleans, those jazz funerals.
Yeah, with the whole procession going down the
Mhm.
street and a band.
Yeah.
And,
Like
yeah,
it's when I lost my dad a couple of years ago, it really forced me to take a look at that and how I see it and view it. And it was different. I thought about it two different ways. Like for myself, I thought about it one way, and then everybody else, I thought about it another. Do you know what I mean by that?
Well, yeah, because I mean, the same way you think about yourself one way, and then you think about everybody else in another way.
Well,
There's always a separation.
my
is
idea
thought.
of it was different. Even like I have my idea of what's going to happen to me after.
Like your afterlife.
Yeah, and but then when my dad passed, it was my knee-jerk reaction was to be devastated. And
Mhm.
all I could think about was that I wasn't going to be able to see him anymore, and I couldn't call him on the phone.
You
And
can't plan for death,
Mm-mm.
and like the day. Of course, you can plan for it in the sense where you're financially and like you've got your affairs in order and like as much as you can. I'll say, but it's coming knocking, and that's why I was saying earlier about like it gets messy because that's what one of the biggest things people say. I was like, I was just talking to them.
Oh yeah,
or,
that's everybody says that.
yeah, like I saw them last week, or they seemed fine, and death will, it
Don't have no mercy in
it
this
doesn't have any
land.
mercy. But you know what? Birth, could we say that about birth? Birth doesn't have any mercy because
It's
that's part of our lives. You know what I mean? Like both of those things, and what you were saying about the cultures and being exposed to it. If you're always seeing something and you're forced to deal with it openly as a culture, not
Mhm.
just like as a person or as a family, but as a culture, you're dealing with it, then there's going to be a lot more comfort because it's like, I didn't just lose my aunt. We lost a community member. Do you know what I mean by that? Like everybody's included in this death. It's not like just my family, your family, their family. This person passes on, and like you said, they're in a pyre or floating down,
The
the
Ganges.
Ganges, or whatever method it in someone's house being put with flowers and in ball. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways it takes place.
Yeah, and the understanding of like what it means is what's missing with us. I think it's because for us, like I said, it's the knee-jerk reaction of like I won't be able to call them, I won't be able to see them, I can't hear their voice, and that's all real stuff that's part of the grieving process when you lose somebody that you love. But like on the flip side of that, after having experience with psychedelics, there's a freedom in that. It's a death is a release from the suffering of being alive on planet Earth, of the human existence. No, we don't fucking know what's going to happen, but I sure do know that I won't be in this body, whatever that means, right? And my experience with psychedelics has shown me that that energy is never doesn't get destroyed. It just changes form. My dad
even
is
through that, you still have to work through that grief. If somebody knows psychedelics or doesn't, somebody passes from their life, they still.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, even though I knew that's what I meant about thinking about it two different ways.
Yes.
Like just because I know that didn't make it any easier on
Yeah.
me. And when I really like got down to the nitty gritty of my grief over it, it was all selfish stuff. At the bottom of it, it was like, I won't be able to see them anymore. I won't be able to talk to him anymore. I won't have his advice anymore. All the stupid shit that
But
I did that I never
That's a
got a chance
natural
to
reaction
apologize
but that's
for.
what a relationship is. Like, I was thinking about, again, go back to my friend, like, all the people that were there, he had relationships with.
Right.
And everybody was like, I'm not going to be able to see him anymore. I'm not going to be able to call him anymore. This person is a huge part of people's lives. And then when it's just gone, everybody that has been affected by them is feeling those same types of loss, like, I don't think it's selfish at all. I think that it's natural and appropriate. And you are missing something. You're missing whatever light that person brought into your life, and you're missing those stories and
what
all
I
of
mean
that
what I mean by selfish, I don't mean it with a negative connotation. It's myself dealing with those things that I'm talking about. Like, that's selfish.
On your own.
Yeah, it's selfish. It has to do with me. My grief wasn't because my dad, how do I say this? It wasn't, I wasn't concerned with where he was at. Like, I wasn't sad because he was in another city or on the other side or whatever it is. Like, it all had to do with me and how I felt about him, not where he was at. And that's what I mean about like our culture and how we feel about it. Because if I had been brought up with a different viewpoint,
you would have been happy.
I might have been like, holy shit, my dad graduated.
Yeah.
Like he
got his wings.
or whatever my idea of what the afterlife is. Like, he's everywhere now and I get to be with him all the time.
So
like,
can't we change that?
Sure.
Well, I think that comes naturally over time with once you've gotten over. I mean, the self thing is what comes first. Like like you said, selfish. I don't think it's really selfish, but it's self
ish.
You're thinking about yourself,
yeah.
and then later, then you feel that, because we all do that after somebody. Well, not all. I can speak for myself. I know you guys have. You feel the people in certain places and times.
Oh,
you
dude.
feel that doesn't happen right away. That happens later, and you'll be like, oh, you get like the goosebumps or something, doing something or being somewhere you've been with that person.
I still hear his voice.
That happens. I don't think there's any way of changing that reaction immediately upon a death of somebody. Because you immediately just think of everything. That's why I love the ideas of like the wakes and the now celebrations of life and stuff, where you get together. Like, that's what we did for my sister. There was never a funeral. We all got together and hung out all day and shared stories and laughed, and that helps with the selfishness, because you're with a bunch of people that I think the immediate, at least for me, with death is to be depressed and upset. And and when you're in a group of people, then you're forced to like to tell the good stories, and then it reminds you of things when somebody's like, remember that time when we were in the back seat, and different thing, and it makes you celebrate that person's life. But that's hard to do at first.
Well, it was really great. We got to do that. We got to tell stories by our friend's bedside, and that was one of the only times that we all were smiling and like joking and having,
and that's what that's what anybody would want. If you could look down see people not mourning and crying, because it's like, but to be laughing about you. And
think about this, like, in the whole energy doesn't die, it's just changes forms kind of thing. Like, in telling stories about somebody that's passed away, that energy of that memory, the physical particles of the memory, wherever that is, are that person. Then they've changed form to become the ideas and the memories of the people that held them
Yeah.
and loved them and cared about them. That's why that movie Coco is so dope,
Yeah.
because it really illustrates kind of what I'm talking about. And the only time you're really gone is when the stories and the memories of you fade.
Yeah, people don't tell them anymore.
Well, and like Coco, I finally watched that not too long ago because I hadn't seen it since it came out. It's about connection with your ancestors and everything, and it's a very common thing. I know I've done it. Like every year, like when the date comes around that my sister passed, the immediate reaction is to be kind of depressed that day or something. But that's when you pick up the phone. I always talk. I talk to my mom, my dad, my nephew. We talk and we laugh and talk about the good things. There's no way of getting over that little bit of sadness and everything.
No, that's
for
part of
me,
the that's why it's a
it's
process.
like important to keep that connection, and that's what keeps them alive. Those memories, that electricity that goes
Exactly.
through our brains when we're thinking, because we're electricity. That power goes somewhere.
Mhm.
And it really is indeed a process, because when someone passes, then you think about other people who've passed, and then it forces you to kind of think about yourself passing, and do I have my affairs in orders? Would like all of that kind of stuff starts to, he was, I think, my age or a few years older than me, so that makes you realize, like, no age is safe. That doesn't mean anything. Oh, you're 40 something.
No, if you're under 40, you're totally
Yeah,
safe.
you're
Nothing's gonna happen to you,
fine.
baby.
Like,
You're
no,
good.
oh, she
Everybody
was
out there, you're
young.
straight.
Yeah, and like, yeah, it's a process. It brought up a lot of what, like I said, with dad and my uncle, and just realizing the gap that is there because of their absence.
I learned something from you about that, though, of like, when my dad passed, I was really missing him, and you were like, why don't you talk to him?
Yeah.
And I at
absolutely
first I felt like, yeah, whatever.
Well, you did give me like a snide
yeah,
little
like
remark,
he's
like,
not even here.
I miss calling him, Mel. I was like, I know you miss
I know
calling
what you
him,
meant.
but
and I know you know what I mean, and I like truly seek it out, because if you're talking about the memory thing, right? They exist in particles and memories, and we're not saying this is true or not, but
no, we know for sure.
Yeah.
This is definitive.
But if we're seeking them and asking for their guidance and their voice, like, it comes to you in different ways. Like for me, like, that comes in memories, and it comes in like phrases that those people used to say, and those would be like the answer, and or like the, I know what I mean by me saying this. You know what I'm
I'm laughing because when you say it, I hear my dad.
I was just kidding.
Motherfucker. I hear it.
Well, okay, so this is a well, it's not that random, but when my mom was here, we were sitting in ceremony, her and I, and there was like a moment where we were asking for, any ancestors to come in that wanted to be part of this, that had something helpful to contribute and whatever. And I heard my uncle's voice. I heard it so audibly, and he was like, "What, are you kidding me? I would have missed this for the world." And like, just
Oh wow.
the way that I heard it in my head, and it was such a like, oh, okay, he's here. And that was it. There was no more connection. It didn't need to, I don't feel like it needed anymore, but I felt it. And, I guess it was just like a story of that story played, and it just made me sad that I couldn't call him, but also, yes, I can.
You got the cosmic phone now.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like,
it's like made of clouds.
Yeah,
it's got stars in it.
Like, I would imagine if you like had something really awesome and you lost it, now you got to go through life without it, like a pair of shoes or a purse or something that you really loved, but you lost it, and now it's like a bummer you don't have it, but you got to learn to live without it.
Yeah. It's the wildest thing to think about. Like, I'm here right now. I'm having this entire rich living experience on the planet. I have people's phone numbers in my phone. I get mail. I eat. I go to work, I have kids, like we have a podcast, all this stuff. The thought that I can just be
Out.
gone and that you're just like deleted from the matrix
Yeah, deleted from life.
and everything is going to keep going. Like the world, you guys are all still going to be here doing your thing. Like that thought to me
Those non-local
is
thoughts.
such a trip.
Yeah.
Like
Because you're like, okay, this body will be gone, but like where's your spirit inside that body? It's just like it like turns into vapor or
where,
air, you know what I mean? Like
you want to get even heavier with it. Like who is the you that's in the body and where is it? And
right now?
Yeah. Like you
well, I think the only time we do know where it is, it's when it's in our body.
Okay.
That's the only time it's right here. But when I go to sleep, it might not be
that's
there.
what I was just going to say.
Yeah,
like what where do you go when you fall asleep then?
Somewhere else. It's like you put your jacket in the coat hook for the night.
You're hanging up your ego for the night.
Your coat hook is your bed at night. You just like lay your body down and your spirit's like do 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 do.
That's so
I'm gonna go on a walkabout. I got things to do.
And why is the walkabout like into cloud cuckoo land every night?
It's where
like
it likes to be.
Dreamland is like, what the hell? I'm riding in a pickle and now I'm standing on the Great Wall of China. And you know, why is that the thing that happens when we hang it up for
that's a weird
night?
one. Riding on a pickle. Great Wall of China.
Anyway,
analyze that.
Yeah.
Thank you for bearing with me and
well, no, I mean
that about the death thing.
There's I was gonna say the other thing too that's relevant, that getting older and stuff, like recently with my dad, it's a tough subject to start broaching, like with your parents as they're getting, or anybody as they're getting older. Like you were just talking about, it made me think about what you were just saying. Like you have an email, we all do. We all have an email, a phone. We have passwords protecting everything. We have all this. So my dad finally, in like the last 2 years, we both took it more seriously because he just turned 80 and he's healthy. He works out and does stuff, but you're at that age where you're susceptible to a lot more things. And that's what he's like with my stepmother. He's like, I'm worried, if I go first, she doesn't know how hardly work a computer or any of that type of stuff. He handles all that. And he's like, I need help with getting her set of like how to pay bills, how to log into this, how to do that. So he's like creating a thing with all his passwords, all these things.
It's
so
smart.
I
Look,
have
man,
them.
Here's the thing.
Because if you don't have that prepared, comes that time, then it's like, oh shit.
And just because he's 80, it should be all of us now.
Yeah.
Like
no, that's like we're just
you're
talking about
22.
age.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And hey, welcome to the No Simple Road Weekly Rewind. We're talking about sad stuff today.
It's not sad. That's what I'm trying to take.
It's just
the
life.
narrative.
It's talking about life.
Yeah, like when your kid leaves, it's sad. For college, that's sad. When you have to go in for surgery, that's sad. When there's a lot of sad things. I want to kind of normalize talking about tough things, and I think we have on the show.
Oh yeah.
Just normalize talking about tough stuff because I was feeling sad about it. I was feeling really bummed out about it. And it happened right. Another good friend of mine, his birthday was yesterday, and we shared this friend in common. And so did my son, Simon. We shared that friend in common. So we were all sad and grieving about it. And I guess this is like the little bit left, like the last, like the last need for me to want to speak about it, I guess.
Yeah.
And maybe not forever, but just like because it's still so fresh.
And for our brother in the No Simple Road family that lost his mom, we love you, man.
Yeah, we really do.
And believe me, I get how tough it is, and just know that in time it doesn't sting quite as bad. And I'm not gonna say it gets better, but
my friend, Crystal, I can talk about that because she's another one who's helped me talk more about death also. Like, I mean, this is kind of a crude example, but like when you work in a spa, you see body parts all the time. They're not a big deal anymore. You just
Yeah.
see them, and it's just like, oh yeah, I saw.
You saw 10 buttholes today.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, and so it depending on what industry you're in and how much you're around death or whatever, it's not as harsh, or it's not as.
Yeah, I remember when we worked in the hospital, like
No, we would see dead
people
people
would code and it would be like, whatever, the guy's in there,
and
he's
it's
dead.
fine.
You guys want to go to lunch?
But Crystal helped me because she's a death doula and kind of made it her business to be with people in their
As they
last
pass.
moments of in the midst of their transfer over. And so she was telling me and said, you and Aaron, you should do your death thing with me. It's like she's got this little thing that she does with people, talking about the last parts of their life and what they want to do, and it's a really cool thing, and I think we should do it.
I'm down to do it.
All
I
right.
mean, that sucks to like finally get to that moment, and then there's you're leaving a million loose ends for the people you love the most to handle when they're feeling the worst.
Because
that's kind of shitty, man.
I've been like
to not be prepared.
Yeah.
Studying about life insurance lately for before this happened too. Before this,
wait a minute, should I be worried?
Yeah, but I was just studying about it because I want to know, like, all these things kept saying about like the Rothschilds and all these like people, like they put their money is in insurance and in trusts and things like that. So I started to research it, and so it just got me down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, but you got to have the money to do that.
Of course, you have to have the money. But my thought is
Here's my
thinking of that, like
$10.
anything, your 401k, your whatever you have, your savings. Okay, that's cool. How does it get to that next person that you want it to? Not just automatically. So your car, your title, all of those things.
No,
that's a real thing.
A lot of
just think about
involved.
like at Christmas time, man, when somebody gives you like a sweater and you either don't like it or it doesn't fit. They've given you a gift that now they've given you a task instead of a gift. Like, I gave you a sweater and now you have an errand to run because it doesn't fit. That's like 1,000 of those. But when they're feeling their absolute
worst,
saddest, like, okay, now you got to go to the bank and try and figure out my passwords. And no, man.
No. And I had a really good friend who her dad passed on her birthday. And he made it as easy as possible as far as like financially. And it was still hard because there was like, he thought he did everything, and there was still stuff that came up that she had to, she was like, kind of like cracking her knuckles, like, okay, this thing can be so hard. Nope, it was so hard. So I don't know, it's like kind of like a PSA to get your stuff in order when you don't need to, so that you don't leave it for your loved ones, and to just like for all to be a sounding board, because and
to discuss it with your loved ones, and to, like we always say, is check on your friends.
Yes.
Yeah,
but when they tell you you're all right, if you sense they're not, dig a little deeper, push a little harder, because you only have those chances while they're alive.
Well,
and to celebrate our ancestors and all those that have passed on.
Yes.
I've really learned to do that more since living with you guys, because Mel has really brought that to the forefront in our household.
Yeah, we do that on
Dia de la Muerto.
Yeah.
And sometimes this is the thing with like remembering anniversaries of death. I don't like to remember that. I don't like to celebrate that sad time, but if it's their birthday, I feel like it's different. And
that makes sense.
You know what I mean? If because you're not remembering their death, you're
remembering their life.
And so I don't celebrate death days. I did the very first year that my uncle, or maybe even the second year, but I did something. I had lit a candle and did flowers, but like I don't want to get in a death vibe.
I'm gonna plan my sad day every year.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to like listen to some music and like
try to like light, because you would celebrate their birth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And wait, one last thing.
Much better celebration.
One last thing. Another thing that was brought out because of this, Apple just said it a moment ago, was check on your friends if you suspect anything, right? Even if you don't don't you enjoy getting a phone call randomly, like when someone's in a good mood, like, hey, I just wanted to check on you.
Yep.
What's up? I missed you. I loved you. We don't even just talk for a lot. Just, hey, that can
And-
like make someone's
and,
freaking
hey.
week.
and there's nothing wrong with, like I said, like pushing a little more. We do it with each other, living around. Like the first time somebody asks you if you're okay, if you're not okay, your normal response is just like, I'm fine, I'm good.
Yeah.
But then if you know people
Yeah,
well,
but you
like-
could tell when that's bullshit and when
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
1,000%.
yeah,
You
be like,
you all
know
out there know what I'm
I'm-
talking
yeah,
about.
you know what? Are you sure? And a lot of
Yeah.
time, I know I've done it the second, third time somebody asks, and it's like, all right, you got me, and then you let it all out, and
Yeah.
And then you feel
All
better.
right. So
or
that's
you talk
it,
about a
guys.
health problem,
Yeah.
and you go
All right,
get
let's-
it taken
I just
care
want to
of.
thank you.
We're
Thank you
gonna
for
we're gonna
everybody.
I'm gonna push in the clutch and we're gonna switch gears. Ready? So what I was saying a half an hour ago about talking to Corey, we had this like really long conversation, and part of that conversation was around like what No Simple Road is up to, and
What are you up to?
Like our summer plans.
yeah, and not this coming weekend, but the following weekend we have Mojo Family Fest coming up at Rhythms Ground, and if you're here in the Portland area or you're able to travel up for it, come hang out with us, man.
Yeah.
We were just out at Rhythms Grounds
Again
a
on
few-
Friday.
Yeah, Friday night. I was gonna say last week. Jesus. what's
Friday
wrong with me?
night.
Friday night, 2 days ago. And it's amazing out there. And having the opportunity for all of us to gather there for the inaugural festival on those grounds
Mhm.
is going to be something special. And we have something really, really cool we're cooking up
it up.
for our live podcast on Saturday at noon. So if you have the chance to, or the means to come up, I would
Or
highly
down.
I would highly
Yeah.
Or
suggest,
sideways.
or to the right or left, diagonal even.
Come.
We don't exclude anybody
Backwards,
above
forwards.
us or on
Yeah.
the right of us.
We're
or-
inclusive as far as directions go.
yes.
Come hang out. You can go to bodimojo.com and get tickets. You can get you can go to at bodimojo on Instagram, and there's a link in their bio, and you can get tickets there.
Do we have a link
And
on our website?
We don't.
Okay.
And it is, Matt, like we were just talking about death and stuff. You want to talk about life? That place, when we were just out there, it is like the amount of people that have dedicated their time and energy to helping them get it ready and everything. It's magical what is happening
Yeah,
out there.
it's
Yeah.
going to be
the
dope.
transformation and everything. And then like anywhere, especially up here, once the sun starts going down and
At 11 o'clock at night.
And yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And the lighting that they have going on out there or keep
Oh, it's
adding
amazing.
to, it's
Dude.
just magical.
When we went out there on Friday night, we left at like 9:45 at night, maybe 10, and it was like dusk.
Yeah.
And we were driving home. I was like, holy shit, it's 10 o'clock at night and the sun is still up.
Yeah.
Like I'm
And we've
still
been here.
not, I'm
We're
still
all
not
time. It's
used
like
to
we've
it.
been here 7 years. In 10 or 9 days, we've been here 7 years.
Holy
and we were just
shit.
talking about that. It's like, yeah, you just don't get used to this.
Mm-mm. So anyway, the other thing that we were talking about was Oregon Country Fair.
Woo.
And producer Corey was like, I don't get it. I don't see what the big deal is. I've been to county fairs before, like
He
funnel
told me he was
cakes and hot
thinking, like,
dogs and like,
Ferris wheels.
what
and-
is the big deal? And
But
then,
that is a very good way to think about it. 'Cause
well-
how do you know any different?
well,
How would you? I
you
should
wouldn't. And so it occurred to me that a lot of people listen to No Simple Road that don't live on the West Coast, maybe don't have any clue what the Oregon Country Fair is
say. Yeah.
and why it's such a
Why it's so
monumentally
important to us.
huge deal that we got invited to podcast at fair.
Yeah.
Like and so I wanted to talk about that a little bit on the show so that you all could share in the excitement with us and
you can
and just know what's
understand.
going on. Yeah. You want to Apple, do you want to give them a little fair history lesson?
I'll start a little bit.
Yeah.
It started in 1969 as a Renaissance fair, and they were looking to make some money to create alternative schooling. And each year it kind of grew a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, not without its problems from neighboring homes or the county or different groups that were didn't like what they were doing, as far as like maybe there was people loitering on their property, little things like that. But as each year rolled on, even more like families started to kind of like a snowball effect, more vendors and more people selling food and more people involved in the actual putting together of this fair. And it wasn't just about coming together for fair, it was like creating a counterculture that,
well, it was a gathering place for people that were part of the counterculture.
yeah, that's
Yes.
exactly. And like how to do it right, as far as like, growing your own food and being sustainable, all these things that we all do or hear of now, but that were just in its infancy. And if not even in its infancy, wasn't even happening yet, they were creating it, these composting and all that stuff. And
Recycling.
recycling.
Yeah, they started some of the
composting.
first recycling. They're one of the first Peace Corps operations going on. What I was going to say, put on my readers here for y'all.
Right on, Santa.
So first of all, me and Mel, Aaron's gonna be reading it soon. And this is for anybody. Even if you don't live on the West Coast or anything, if you are listening to us, you're most likely into the Grateful Dead and the hippie movement and all kinds of consciousness.
Music.
There are two books, which these are, I've just got to say, Fruit of the 60s, The Founding of the Oregon Country Fair by Susie Prozansky. That book starts it off. This goes over the first 10 years of the fair.
Yeah.
And the second 2 years, they actually did two fairs each year of 70 and 71. But this is such an in-depth history, not just into the beginning of the fair, but the community that sprung up in Eugene. A lot of people from like Haight-Ashbury, Summer of Love, everything was getting pretty tense, like 69, 70 down there. A lot of people came up here, and the programs that were started,
oh my gosh,
the recycling, the tree replanting, the just consciousness of everything, the
intention that they put
the
into
Saturday
everything.
food market, stuff that still to this day exists. And then there's a follow-up to it, which we just got in the mail, which we're all going to be reading too, which thank goodness these were suggested to us by the people at the fair, because I knew some about it, but not how in-depth and how amazing this community is that did this.
Well, first of all,
but the
and
second,
is doing
second
it still.
book is Brigadoon of the 60s, Revelry and Kerfuffles at the Oregon Country Fair. And it covers the rest after the first 10 years.
Susie did an incredible job of documenting something she wasn't even at, to go back and research everything that was maybe not as well documented as it could have been, but getting like accounts from talking to people and like whatever she had, I don't know how she did it.
No, it's fascinating. Me and Mel were talking about it. I can't wait till you start reading it. I'm almost done, so I can pass it on. But we found out, like, back then, this was like, don't trust the man. So every year at the beginning, like, they burned and got rid of the names of guests, of people that were on the board. The first year, I think it was, they did a map. They burned the map.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want that getting in the hands of the authorities. They would know what's going on at the fair. So it's a very interesting history of not just the fair, but the world at that time and what was going on.
The account of the spirit of these can-do people. There was
this is the spirit. This is a huge part of this, is the counterculture of the late 60s, early 70s, the hippies that were heeding the call of going back to the land, and trying to show that there was a different way of life possible other than the nuclear family and what was being presented by mainstream culture. And the fair has been a representation of that for over 50 years and has grown into, I think it's the second largest city in Oregon while the fair is happening.
Yeah.
That's how big it is now. And every year they have amazing musicians play. The Grateful Dead have played Oregon Country Fair back in the day. I know that the Keezies were very involved in helping them with all of it.
Yeah.
And this is born of this family doing their thing and showing that they can create something magical and different
And
and
sustainable.
and being an Oregonian now and not having been to fair, when you tell another person that's been, that like when we tell anybody we haven't been, the reaction from them is unilaterally like
Eyes get like
utter shock.
huge. We had one recently. Guy started holding his head. He was like,
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you guys are gonna have so much. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. If you're interested, just like I would urge you to go online and just Google it.
They have a great website.
And so like this thing with a rich 50-year history of creating all of these amazing programs that are now like mainstream that you don't even know came from there. So many artists and musicians and craftspeople, and just the list goes on and on. For that thing to invite us to come do what we do there is a huge deal.
Well, and to capture the history too. Like, yes, inviting us there, but like, what a cool, honest, honorable thing it is for us to go there and document that in our way for them there.
Yeah.
Well,
And I think one of the most important things that people understand too about this is there's so many crafters, food vendors, everything like that. And one rule that still stands today, everything is like homemade.
Everything has to be made by hand.
There's no tables with manufactured goods or like garage sale booths going on. This is highlighting the community's ability of craftsmanship, of growing food. All the food is from farms all around. Everything is sourced by the person who brings it in. You can't just go buy, a bunch of stuff in a box from China and go sell your wares there. This is truly highlighting the people and their crafts.
Yeah. And for over 50 years, there has been psychedelic infusing on that land. And I hear story after story of like the magic at fair.
Well, Family Mystic is one of the stories. They Marcelo and Love met each other and they now are Family Mystic.
Yeah. Jack from Bodhi Mojo was like, like in life, there's like weird synchronicity and like coincidences happen every once in a while. He's like, at fair, it was literally every second. Like if I thought it happened, or if I thought I needed something, somebody handed it to me.
We've heard that from a lot. It's like, oh, I wish I had a nice cold lemonade. And all of a sudden somebody's like, lemonade, and hands it to you. Like, whoa.
And to be able to like be invited to this thing and having never been, I'm excited to share with all of you guys out there and also with them at fair what our experience is first time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're going to have a very unique viewpoint.
Yeah.
Because there's no like jaded history. We don't have beef.
Yeah, we don't have
with
any
anybody.
idea of any of it, just the books.
Yeah. We're going, I told Mel or Apple today, I was like,
not setting any expectations.
I don't have any expectation for it. I have like I don't even know how to properly think about going because I don't know what it's going to be.
Go in there like infants ready to have fun.
Yeah. I know I'm going to put up a tent. That's about it. And I'm going to do 3 50-minute podcasts.
Yeah.
And beyond that, like, and these grounds, how big are the grounds?
I'm not exactly sure.
I think 400 something acres.
Yeah,
or something like that. 430.
Huge.
It's gigantic.
Yeah,
it's not like some little.
No, I think attendance now it reaches over 50,000 people.
Wow.
Or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
Yeah,
that's what Oregon Country Fair is.
yeah, when you hear
everybody.
Oregon Country Fair, we're not talking about like a Ferris wheel and funnel
With, like
cake.
gyros
No.
and like skee ball.
That's not so. Just to like
Maybe they do have gyros. I don't know. I don't know why I said
possible.
that. It is possible.
Give you just a little bit of an idea like how dope this is. Back when I was on tour in 90, I was at a show at Shoreline, and it was the last West Coast show before the East Coast run started like 2 weeks later. It was like sometime in July. And it was after the show, we were all in the lot and we were getting on our bus to get everything ready to take off to go back east to Maryland. And there was a big group of like older heads outside the bus getting their stuff together. And we were all talking. And I was like, yeah, you guys headed out to the shows in Landover. And I'll never forget this like Earth Mama, kindest, shining, smiling eyes, and like the patchwork skirt and a tie-dye with like hair wraps in her hair. And she was like, no, sweetheart, we're going to Oregon Country Fair. And I was like, what's Oregon Country Fair? And she did what everybody's done to us. She's like, oh my God, you don't know what fair is? And I was like, no, I've never heard of it. And she was like, well, if it gives you any indication how cool it is, we're leaving Dead Tour to go do Oregon Country Fair.
I'd say that's a great way to put it. You're like, oh.
And I was like, oh, I'll make it up there someday. She's like, you need to put this on your bucket list of things to do before you leave the earth.
Wow.
This is something you're never going to forget. And I blew it off and forgot about Oregon Country Fair. And when we moved up here, one of the first things that happened to us is we got invited to fair by somebody.
Or at least we got, told about
yeah,
it. Yeah.
And that memory came back and I was like, holy shit, full circle.
Right while you were telling that story, it reminds me of Audrey because we were looking through her and Jason's photo album of fair, and she had a patchwork quilt that she had made.
Patchwork skirt.
Yeah, so maybe she has a patchwork quilt too, but yeah, I mean her skirt.
That was the jam back then.
This is something that we've heard from everybody. Like when you go, your main priority in life is to return every year after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's 4 or 5 generations deep of people that are running the booths out there that have passed it on, and kids have grown up there and are continuing to do this.
So,
but I was just going to say, go the OregonCountryFair.org is their website where you can go check this out, and at Oregon Country Fair on Instagram with lots of cool pictures, all kinds of things. There's just, even if you're, like I said, you're just not able to make it act, it is a great, it's just one of the greatest things I've ever seen as far as like bringing community together to all work towards one thing and to make it happen.
Let's be honest, this is like, they could call this the heady fair. Like these are the heady cats that put this thing together and are doing this, and the vibe of this is super thick.
Yeah,
and
this is Vanita, Eugene.
Yeah.
And Ken Kesey used to walk, people used to see, he used to hang out on the fairgrounds all the time and walk around, talk to people, give talks. I mean, this Ken Babs, like, there's just a lot of history and people involved in this, and I can't wait. I'm almost like, I mean, I'm thinking about it all the time because I'm reading the book, but then I have to like turn it off to like, I don't want to get too excited. I might blow a fuse or something.
What happened to Apple? Oh, he was too excited for fair.
He got so excited he passed out.
And I'm glad that you started reading because I was like having all this information by myself and I couldn't talk about
I'm glad you're already
and
ahead
share.
of me. Now I got to finish it so Aaron can start reading it. Now we got part 2 to read.
Yeah.
Part 2. So yeah, when you hear us talking about it and we're all stoked and like giddy, that
now you at least have a heads up.
Yeah. And if that too, man, if you're up here or you're able to come, because you can come to fair during the day.
Well, see, you didn't say anything about that. That's a whole different.
That's a whole, there's day fair and there's night fair. At I think it's like 7:00. The general public gets
A sweep.
There's a sweep that
Sweep.
happens. Everybody has to leave fair, except for the people that are like performing or working.
Vendors.
And
Yeah.
Which this is so huge. There's thousands of people on all together. There's thousands of people there that are on all these different crews. That's how big this is and how much needs to be handled. And then those people get to hang out and party, have fun, and everything at night.
Yeah, that's the revelry at
Yeah.
night. So everybody,
Commune.
you can come for day fair and
Yeah.
hang out, and there's campgrounds all around there where you can camp and then come back the next day. And because I doubt you could possibly see the whole thing in one day. What? No way. The gorge is around. Oh wow, the gorge is around 500 acres for scale.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Who is that?
Cinnamon?
All right. Right on. It's yeah. I don't think you could walk it in a day and see like all the there's hundreds and hundreds of booths and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At all.
we don't
He
know.
really does.
I really
Till we
don't.
get there and see
I'm
this.
winging it right now. So
that's the best kind of thing too. Like we know something, but when you go somewhere or like you're like, oh my gosh, you should totally go to this place in Mexico. When you get there, you don't know how cool it is until you land and you get to that place and you're like, oh my gosh, right? Like you have to. So it's kind of what fair is doing, is building this like excitement in us and like this like titillation, for the summer.
And of course, living up here for 7 years now, we've been hearing for 7 years. Every time somebody asks about it, the reaction from people that have been, it's just like, whoa, okay. Right now, it's like we're going on a roller coaster. It's like tink, 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 and working our way up to the top of the roller coaster.
And just to be full disclosure, we wanted to go every year that we've been here.
Yes.
Except it was either Northwest String Summit was happening at the exact same time or Fish at the Gorge was happening at the exact same time. So
yeah, there was always kind of conflicts of other.
Northwest String Summit wasn't the exact same time. It was
like the week after or so.
It
wasn't the same.
It wasn't.
We always had a lot going on.
Yep. And so we just hadn't been able to go. And
things work out.
I
was
supposed to.
7 years ago, we weren't invited.
No,
the way that we were.
No, we weren't invited.
Yeah.
Period. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Dan Cohen from Peak Experience for sticking his neck out for us, for actually like reaching out to me through Facebook and being like, Aaron, why isn't No Simple Road at the Oregon Country Fair? And I was like, I don't know. Why?
We didn't even know we could.
Why can we do that? And he was like, I'm going to facilitate this for you guys. I want to see this happen. And it is because of his introduction to spoken word.
Oh.
If you do know about fair, we are going to be part of the spoken word camp and performing on the stage in the rabbit hole. So for those of you that know what that means, now you know where we're going to be.
Come join us.
Yeah, come hang out with us. And I'm super excited to be part of that crew and that family and find out what it means.
Yeah.
And
if you know what that is and you've already been there, you know a lot more than we do at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
But all I know is you can't wait to experience this.
Yeah, I feel the same way about this I would about like going and seeing the dead for the first time again.
Yeah.
Like I know that something amazing is about to go down, but I don't have the like experience to even understand what it is that could possibly happen.
And you know how cool that is to have that kind of a feeling at our ages, like
oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
brand new
Something new
stuff that you don't even know about, that you're excited about and you don't know why you're excited. Like that's the best.
And wait till I was going to back up and say, I said, I can't wait. Yeah, I can wait because I have a whole nother book to read. So I'm prepared.
Yeah,
wait till I can't wait till I can wait till you start reading the book, because then we're all, it builds the education of what it all is.
Yeah, I have to say,
which is amazing.
Apple reading this book, I mean, he is like a little encyclopedia, because I've read what he's reading months ago, because I'm almost at the end of the book. I took a lot longer to read it because kind of I was like nursing it almost, like kind of milking it for a little bit. But it's so nice that you have all these facts that are fresh in your head, because it's sparking my memory, and like we're getting the full story now, because whatever you don't mention, I kind of remember.
And we're like we do on here. We come from everything at three different perspectives. We're very much alike
Yeah.
in ways, but we have three different minds,
Nuh-uh.
and we're going to see things. And I love
What?
this. Caught my attention so quickly. I started reading it Wednesday, I think, and I'll be done by tonight or
Yeah.
tomorrow.
So
And-
the lady from Fair, like we had like a small phone interview before we were accepted to go, and Laura from Fair, she was like, I want you to buy these books.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I want you to buy these books before you guys come, and you need to read them both because you need to understand what you're a part of. And that's a trip.
Yeah,
That by itself is a
that's so
trip.
great
Yeah.
to be a part of something that requires knowledge.
Yeah.
You can't just show up and sign
I mean,
up.
you could.
Well, not this way.
No.
Not this
No,
way.
no, not with this
As a
group, no.
patron, sure, here's give me your $20 and we'll take it and
Mhm.
have a nice day for a few hours. But this is different. This is like, no, you're coming as an invited guest to be part of this, and here is what you're being invited and participating
Which
in.
can't thank you enough, Laura, because I would have been embarrassed probably several times.
Mispronouncing
would have,
stuff.
And just not knowing when somebody's
Yeah.
name is mentioned, or we have the opportunity to meet somebody that was involved since the beginning.
Yep.
It's
And
our
to just
due
be like,
diligence.
oh, where are you from? Or something. It's
Yeah.
like, this is the person that, to
Yeah.
thank you.
This guy started the recycling crew, bro.
This is a valuable education
Yeah.
on what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's getting ready to go down. And then we have a couple of other little things in the work. I won't spill the beans yet, but just keep your fingers crossed for us. I'll just say that.
Okay.
How about that? How about that?
How about that?
How about
Um,
that?
All right. Well, that was it, I think. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I mean,
we
I
gotta-
think unless you have something else you want to add.
No.
I think this
Apple?
is a good, like, we went the spectrum from talking about life and death and everything
To
and
fair.
to fair, to celebration. Everything should be a celebration, including death.
Look,
Apple,
And-
you're a
while we're-
celebration.
Yeah, while we're here, let's still celebrate because we cannot do it with the people that we want to when they're gone.
Right.
and celebrate those that are gone, because I know that's what I'd want. I think that's what most people want, is to be celebrated in life and remembered for all the good things.
What up, PJ? Hey, you know
Mhm.
what? We just did a successful 1-hour live stream
Mhm.
of the No Simple Road Weekly Rewind. And hey,
And
that's
no
pretty
issues.
damn cool. Yeah.
It's a-
You are
I
very
see-
welcome, Cinnamon. They said live.
Full color NSR
Yeah, wow.
experience.
Yeah,
Dope.
sorry, my eyes. I don't have my readers.
You know what? If you dig No Simple Road, go over to patreon.com/No Simple Road and become part of the No Simple Road community.
No Simple Road.
That's right. There's a whole community that's hanging out together behind the scenes, listening to stuff that you can't hear. That's right. It's
That's
happening
true. That
over
is
there on
true, though.
Patreon. And the only way to do that is to go over there and sign up on Patreon. And then if you could leave us a review on like Apple Podcasts and that stuff,
we
that'd be
look?
cool.
Did you look?
And we're not doing that right now. We're not going to do the whole thing.
No.
And all the other stuff. Go to the website www.nosimpleroad.com and go check out the Edible Beats because they're amazing and they're our partner in crime.
They are the
with
reason
this.
why we are bringing you these extra Monday episodes.
And yeah, we are going to be doing these on Sundays. So here we are. You could schedule it in.
Ta-da!
What do you think?
When speaking of edible beats, it's
You
it's
better
time,
believe
it's
it.
time for it's dinner time.
It
It is dinner time. All right, everybody. Until what day is this? Monday?
Oh my gosh,
Sunday?
Dan, I love you so much.
Well, they're seeing this on Sunday, but this is going to be
Shout out, Dan.
It'll be
out
Monday.
on Monday.
Yeah.
So it's Sunday, Monday.
Sunday, Monday.
We will be back on Friday
Transition period.
All
with
right.
another
Yes, we
episode.
will.
And until then, I would like you to do me a favor. Take care of each other.
That's right.
Smile at a stranger. Safety third. Hydrate and get
Yeah.
your car washed. Because I
That
washed
feels
my
good.
car today. I live in Portland, man. Like, let's be honest. I wash my car like twice a year. It feels great. My car
does.
is happier. It rode better afterward. It's a whole thing.
Uh-huh.
So
It
trust
is.
me.
It is.
Clean your
All right.
car. I love you guys. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Hi, everybody. We love you. I don't know how to shut this off.
We're
Yay.
still live.
Always safety third. That's right, PJ. Always safety third.
Later.
All right.